Matt, any chance you could just update us on where DJ, Zach, and McCaffrey are right now?
McCaffrey is coming in for, I think they said he'd be in, and I talked to him just a few minutes ago, he'd be in at 12 to do his rehab. So nothing updated on him. And then Zach and DJ are still on the COVID list.
Let's go to Vashti Hurt for the next question.
Hi, Coach. 0-7 on these game-winning drives, but with the unconventional offseason and a new coaching staff, is there anything to say about you guys being able to remain competitive in these contests?
I mean, it's a great question. You always ask me questions that make me think. We have to find a way to get it done at the end of the game. That's our job. That being said, I think, I think hanging in there, sometimes coming back from leads, I think that shows a competitive spirit. I think, I was having a conversation with one of their coaches before the game, and, he was saying that when you're playing a lot of rookies, as we all are with COVID and all that, or as we're really entering a new phase with the roster, you try to get, 1,000 to 1,500 reps in the spring that we didn't get. And so I think that's been really difficult. I look forward to having a true off season where we can really coach and teach these situations better. But that being said, our job is to find a way to get these things done. And I was really proud of our offense on yesterday when we scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to come back and have a chance to win. The problem is we needed to score 24, and so there were some good things in there, but just wasn't quite enough. And so I wish we would just take one more step, and we had a chance to do it yesterday. We didn't do it. We have 3 more shots to see if we can go get one of those game-winning drives.
Let's go to Dan Gant, followed by Steve Reed.
Matt, it's been 7 out of the last 8 games now, same result. How do you talk to guys? I mean, you've been through this Baylor and Temple first season struggles. How do you talk to guys when the result is the same week after week and just keep their eyes from glazing over?
I don't just tell them the truth, There's no secret. I mean, every game's a little bit different, so after the Vikings game, I told them I felt like the coaches didn't do their part at the end of the game. And that's a very strong message with, there's a lot of plays I thought the players could have made, but at the end of the day, we took responsibility as a staff. Yesterday, I told them if we beat ourselves, if we have all those penalties, if we're taunting, if we're having coverage busts where we're giving up huge touchdowns, which we haven't done all year, we're not going to win the game. And so it's really the same message all year. It's just every game's been accentuated a little differently. But I don't worry about guys' eyes glazing over. I mean, I don't worry about guys not performing. At the end of the day, we have a strong competitive character, which is a huge building block. And as long as the coaches, myself, and the staff shows up to work every week and sets the tone in terms of our preparation, our level of detail, our work ethic, I think the players will always respond to that. And I thought yesterday, in a really unique week in terms of who was going to be available, who wasn't available, I thought our guys, gave us a good week of effort.
Hey, Matt, I wanted to follow up on something Joe had asked you yesterday when he asked you about, Teddy being, the quarterback who can help you build a winning franchise, winning tradition here. And you said, absolutely, you felt that way. I wonder if you could elaborate on why you feel that way still about him, even though things haven't gone the way you wanted them in these late game stretches.
Yeah, and I'll probably answer this. I'm so focused on Green Bay, I don't really want to spend too much time talking about like next year stuff. But I have confidence in Teddy, and like I said, do I wish DJ was out there yesterday? Do I wish Christian was out there yesterday? Do I wish that Russell could have played the whole game? DJ, those guys make a difference, and so again, was it what we wanted at the end of the game? No. But the 3 drives before that where he scored 17 points on his arm pretty much were pretty good. And if we give up one less deep ball in the fourth quarter, if everyone does their job on defense, if we cover the punt on offense, it doesn't get to this point. So Teddy would be one of the first guys to tell you, he didn't play his best game yesterday, but no one did it for the Carolina Panthers. And so, there's always going to be lightning rod topics. I get it. You guys have a job to do. I respect it. I hate putting games like this on one guy, because we could have gotten run out of the building like we did against Tampa Bay there at one point, down 15. And, he brings us back, and we have every chance to win. And so I liked all that. I just, as we all know, Teddy's going to be measured by the end of game, take it down there and go win. It hasn't worked out the way we want this year, but a lot of other things have. So I'm just of the mindset, Steve, I'm just going to continue to try to build around him and build with him, and try to go win this game against Green Bay.
Let's go to Joe Person for the next question, and then David Newton.
Matt, there was an ESPN report over the weekend that you guys fined several of the COVID list guys from last week. Why did you or the organization feel that was necessary, and do you think that would sort of stave off any potential league discipline?
Great question. I'm not going to talk about internal matters, in terms of discipline and stuff like that. I understand why you have to ask. I hope you understand it respectfully. But I'd rather keep that all between the players and the organization.
Can you confirm that there were fines levied?
Same answer. I'm sorry.
Matt, going back on the games you've lost, that you had a chance at 7 times, like we mentioned over and over, with the ball in your hands for a chance to win or tie. How much do you put on the quarterback? And how much is that a factor in your evaluation after the season on him?
A lot of it goes on the quarterback. That's just the job. A lot of it goes on Joe Brady. A lot of it goes on Matt Rhule. You know what I mean? Like, we can't sit there and I just don't want to put it on just any one player when we have a coach who gets paid, and in me, and a coordinator and a position coach. And so, we've had chances to do it. We haven't done it. I think we have to improve in those areas, but again, if I had, it's one of those deals, David, it's a great question. I think I always look at things like just really incrementally, like, hey, we have to call this play better. We have to do this better. And then hope that it, like against the Chiefs, we had a, long field to drive. We kind of threw the ball underneath. So when we played the Vikings, we pushed the ball down the field. We made the plays to get in field goal range. Yesterday, in the 2 drives before that, we pushed the ball down the field, and we got into the 2-minute at the end of the very last one, and we didn't push it. So again, when you're the quarterback, it always comes back on you. But I also look at the O-line, the receivers. I look at everybody and say, hey, if this guy doesn't jog this route, if he runs at full speed, then Teddy throws the ball to him and we have a completion. So as a coach, I see it overall. In terms of player evaluations after the season, I'll look at everything. I'll look at how they perform, for quarterback. I'll look at how they perform on 1st and 2nd down, how they perform in the red zone, how they perform on 3rd down. I'll look at everything. And I think 2 minutes certainly a major part of that as well.
Did we see how much you guys maybe missed DJ Moore? It seemed like more than usual, and a lot of passes, especially down in the crunch time, were really just like dink and dunk things and not really pushing it down the field.
When you say crunch, I don't know what time you're talking about, because I thought we pushed the ball like that last drive, and the throw to Farrell was like an 18-yard in cut. We hit Curtis on a seam ball and in cut. Would we have loved to have DJ? Absolutely. I mean, he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. We're going to have 2,000-yard receivers this year. So I would love to have DJ, but he wasn't there. And that's just the way this league works. He wasn't available. He wasn't there. He would have obviously been a major part of what we were doing yesterday, but he wasn't.
Let's go to Brett Jensen, followed by Lena Gutsenberg.
Hey, Matt, I'm wondering, can you talk about the situation going on right now with Greg Little? A couple of weeks in a row where he's been a healthy scratch, even though you guys have been banged up a little bit on the left tackle side. Can you just discuss what's happening with him?
Yeah, I mean, we've been healthy. We've had Russell the last 2 weeks, so we felt like Trent had started when Russell was out, and we really liked the way Trent played. I think Trent's been I think he's been one of the most positive surprises, not surprises, one of the most positive developments we've had this year. And he was the starter when Russell was out. Russell came back and has played the last 2 games. So because he's out, we usually have a backup tackle, a backup guard, and a backup center, as our part of our 8-man rotation. So, Tyler Larson is the backup center. Sko is a guy who can play tackle, guard, and center. So he gives us unbelievable versatility. And then Trent being the backup tackle. Russell got banged up in that game. Trent went in the game. He played really well, I felt like. So I like Greg Little a lot. I like where he's trending. But we really pleased with Trent and what he's doing. So this week, obviously, as you guys saw yesterday, Russell got hurt in the game, came out of the game. Trent went in. So if Russell's not able to go, then Greg would be up this week.
Hey, Matt, kind of just going off that, do you have any update on Russell? Is it the same calf that he hurt last time, or any update?
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a chance to play this week. He went back in there and it didn't look like it was as bad. So I think talking to those guys today, he went in for treatment. He has a chance to play this week. We'll just kind of have to go through the week and see how he responds and see how he feels.
And then I was curious, I know David kind of asked you somewhat about this, but in that 2-minute situation where a play gets run before the 2-minute warning, is that on Joe to say, is Joe in the position to say something to Teddy like, hey, we don't want to run a play here, or does Teddy have full autonomy in that situation? How do you kind of view what went wrong there?
Teddy made a decision to run a play when we asked him not to. And so watching the tape, I see what he saw, but it shouldn't happen that way. And so that'll be made clear moving forward. It's there's a time and a place for hey, you can't have quarterbacks play in the black and white. They have to have some gray area. And to be quite honest, when you look at it, it's wide. I mean, if the guy runs, it's wide open. Robbie's wide open on the other side. But that being said, it just didn't follow really the chain of command of what we want done situationally, right? So Teddy's a great guy. I mean, he's not ever going to be disrespectful and say, no, I'm not listening to those guys. I just think in that area, I think he thought he had a little more grace to get that done, but it's not what we wanted. That third down and that fourth down, those third and fourth down plays, how they worked out were not the type of football I want to be a part of. So, we just make it more clear from there.
And then I was just curious from the special team stuff, there were a number of plays yesterday where there were miscues or penalties on special teams. I mean, there's been a lot of games this year with a lot of penalties on special teams. How do you get that corrected? I think there was one penalty yesterday, the hold at the end. Was there another one I'm missing? I think Neutrell had 2. But I could be wrong. Oh, well, no, and fair. Yeah, you're exactly right. He had 2. No, you're exactly right. And the field goal block attempt, he blocked a kick to tie the game at the Vikings. And they said he was offsides, and I didn't feel like he was offside. So we looked at it, and they said, if he backs up 6 inches and times it up. So I had him do that. So that's really more my call. Like, it's like no cost. Like, what's to hurt us in doing that? Now, they went for 2, which it could have hurt us, and Tahir made a great play. I mean, Whitehead made a fantastic play to make it a 15-point game. That's a great point you brought up. The hold, is an issue, and I think the biggest thing is the punt return, right? And so what happened on the punt return is Trent Cannon gets down there unblocked, and he's had 2 penalties now hitting the guy early, so he stops, lets the guy catch it, and then he misses the tackle. So I think his leeriness of getting a penalty prevented him from making the tackle, and they scored. I think in a year where we're cycling through a lot of players, and guys are trying to give us what they want. I've been pleased with a lot of our special teams. I thought Joey's kick down to the 2-yard line was a highlight for us. I thought Joey kicked the ball really well yesterday. So that one penalty, that's really on me trying something, talking to the officials and trying something that, again, I think he was on. I thought he was on sides on that one too, but I have to just coach it better. The hold was unfortunate. Watching it on tape, I was just kind of out there playing. I didn't think it was terrible, but yeah, to your point, Atlanta, we had a lot of penalties yesterday. It was not a day of elite execution. It was not a day of not beating ourselves. And so we've been the issue with penalties for us is it's one thing when you're a team that gets penalties all the time. It's another thing when you're a team that doesn't get penalties. We're kind of like this, right? And
we have to just keep coaching it. I mean, we have to just keep coaching it, and that's easier said than done. But we'll just continue to do so and hope that it gets corrected at a higher level.
Go to Josh Graham for the next question, followed by Mike Flarte.
Yesterday, I know you said you wanted the ball to go to the sticks on that 4th down play. After watching the tape and seeing the coverage, do you have a better understanding for why Teddy went to Curtis Samuel or no?
I mean, we recovered past the sticks, but again, with the remote in my hand, I'd still like that ball to go to the sticks. On the shallow cross, it's a mesh concept. We've run that different times this year, and the guys come wide open. So I can see why Teddy looked at it. But even that wasn't done with elite execution. We didn't really get a mesh. It was a 1-yard route. We're supposed to be a 5-yard route, 4 to 5 yard route. So like a lot of what we did yesterday on offense, defense, and special teams, there wasn't elite precision. There wasn't elite execution. It was a lot of kind of just out there. And so, if we get the mesh and we come underneath at 5 yards, you have a chance, to maybe get 9 yards. But when it's at 1 yard because the split's wrong and just so many things. And so, I pride myself on not coming in and ever saying it's this guy's fault, it's that guy's fault. But there was a lot of plays yesterday that weren't good enough. Where we didn't do what we're trained to do, where we didn't even do what we do in practice. So I don't fault Teddy for coming down and looking at that shallow cross. He's also depending on a lot of other people to do things right so he can be right. All that being said, I'd like that ball thrown past the sticks and give a guy like Robbie or someone, a chance to go catch the ball.
Coach Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. Earlier you talked about, the incremental improvements, doing this a little bit better, doing this a little bit better, and so on and so forth. And that's part of the bigger picture. But are you wanting guys to, the word freelance isn't right. Are you wanting guys to maybe make some of those adjustments maybe on their own to pick up that little extra here or that little extra there? Is that part of building what you're building for, or I guess it's a really long way of saying, do you guys need players to take it upon themselves to improve and enhance what you guys are doing?
Players have to play better. Coaches have to coach better. Players have to play better. There's a standard for how we did not play up to our standard yesterday. And I'll go to defense. To give up that many big play touchdowns is unacceptable. When we covered people, we sacked them, we hit them, we, should have knocked the quarterback, on the last play, should have maybe not gotten the sack even a little quicker, but, he threw the ball, the ball got batted up in the air. When we did the right thing, we played really good defense for long, for stretches. And then, when we didn't, we didn't. And so there has to be a mindset here that we're trying to build of, you have to do your job. Once you've done your job, that's where your creativity and your ability comes forth. Right. But if you have a guy man to man, he catches the ball, you're wrong, done. There's no conversation about it. And I say that because I think our players understand that. I think our players understand, hey, we've got to do our job at a high level. So whether it's not getting a penalty, whether that's running the right route, whether it's getting to your depth, if everyone says, oh, my bad, eventually it becomes too many my bads and you lose. And so we shouldn't have given up all those passing touchdowns. And so I know that if I've done one good thing really well this year, Mike, it's that I've tried to instill a culture of accountability where I walk out all the time and say, hey, I've got to do better. I've got to do better. I've got to do better. Internally, what we need to become a great franchise is for everyone else to say, hey, I've got to do better. And so, I did that yesterday. I think it sounded like Teddy did that yesterday. We need that at every position. So we don't need guys to freelance. We need guys to do exactly what they're trained to do. And then when you play with that level of discipline and technique, then the creativity comes, right? Then you know your job, so you do it, and then you see the ball and you go pick it off. And so it's a long answer, but it's just these steps that you have to go through. I want to make sure what I said. I wasn't saying incrementally you just get better as a team. I'm saying every position has things that they have to improve upon. So I can play DB and say, well, I only gave up one play. I had one play, but then the next guy says I have one play, and then pretty soon that's 33 plays in the game that we didn't execute at a high level. So people use the word execution. Coaches say we got to execute better. What that means is every player's got to take their job and bring it to life. right? Do it at such a high level that, it looks like they're doing these amazing things, but really they're doing what they're trained to do at a really high level. And so we're just not there yet. We're trying to get there. We were there some other games better than we were yesterday. Yesterday was one of the more disappointing games in terms of execution. And I wouldn't say it's for lack of effort, so I thought we played hard. We just didn't do our job well enough, and that has to get corrected this Saturday.
And then just to follow up, earlier you said you're not worried about guys' eyes glossing over and the message being lost. Is that maybe the byproduct of having such a young roster and maybe having a bunch of hungry guys that like you want to get better and they won't tune out any kind of message like that?
I think that's always part of having young guys, but I think our vets, Shaq could have said, hey, I don't feel great. I'm going to sit this week out, when he came back on Friday. He came back and wanted to play. Russell Okung could have said, hey, my calf's tight. Like, we don't have anybody, doing that. We have guys that are trying to win and trying to get better. We had guys in that locker room that were disappointed. And it's because, you play this game because you love it, but also you like being good at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you like being good at what you do. You like that feeling of going out and beating someone else. And so, whereas sometimes people say, like, what are you playing for? Like, you're playing to win. And I think these guys really want to win. And so if you saw Trey Boston play yesterday, we said he was questionable with a hamstring. If you saw the way he came up and hit that guy on the first third down, if you saw the way he tackled that guy on 3rd and 1, if you saw Dante Jackson make that tackle on 3rd and 1, you'd say, or 4th and 1, whatever it was, 3rd and 1, wow, those guys really want to play. And so we'll go out this week. And if anyone says, hey, coach, I don't want to play, then I understand that. But the Carolina Panthers are going to try to come and play every week. And that's got to be, that is our mindset. So I haven't ever felt this year like we didn't give an honest effort. I've just felt like sometimes we didn't play well enough. And so I'm just trying to continue. Every game we get, it's a chance for us to try to play better, execute better, as long as we give great effort. So I think our veterans have done an elite job of keeping the team focused. I think our young players are hungry, but you need veteran players to continue to push the envelope and teach the young guys, here's how you stay focused. And I think our veteran players are doing a good job of that.
Thank you.
Let's go to Scott Fowler for the final question before we wrap it up.
Matt, thank you for drilling down on some of these plays. I know we all appreciate you helping us understand it. I have one more for you, and then a more overall thing. I'll ask them both. One is on the first down in the last series when Teddy was sacked. I wondered if you could tell us more what went wrong on that play, because that seemed like almost the key problem there was you were behind the stick from then on. And then secondly, you did seem to blitz a lot more yesterday. There was very few 3-man rushes, I think. And how do you think the blitzing worked out?
Two really good questions. And then Preston, I'll answer any other questions because I saw someone say, hey, final question. So if anyone wants the question, I'll be happy to answer it. When I'm at home, I can actually see you guys. When I'm in the office, I have to look at that thing so I can see you guys today. The first play, to your point, so 2:48 left. I think, Joe called that play. I think Joe was feeling like, hey, it was still a run possibility, right? You could run the ball, so you lined up and play action. It was a double move, trying to, they've been jumping Robbie, so tried to run an in cut and go, trying to get a big play. If not, we checked the play down. Our tight end was 1-on-1 with their defensive end. We were man across the board, and they came out pass rushing, and we just got beat. We got beat. One guy on the offensive line, tight end, got beat and put us behind the chains. And so you're exactly right. Like, we needed an elite first down play. And if you go back and look at the whole game, really first down destroyed us in the first half. Like, we were so inefficient on first down. We took a lot of sacks on second down, and we were in 3rd and 19, 3rd and 15 penalties. As we got efficient on first down, we really started to move the ball late in the game. That play was really a difficult one. So, again, we went to play action, leave the tight end 1-on-1 on their outside backer. He won, someone inside one, tried to throw the double move. He got sacked. So I think we're trying to be really aggressive there, push the ball down the field. That's what happened, right? And then the second part of that, I'll make sure I get it right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I probably should have.
Oh, the blitzing more. No, the blitzing more. Yeah. We pressured, and we brought a lot of 4 and 5 man pressures, not all out. Like, we never played cover 0. We never to be quite honest, I'm going to be very direct. Like we had some really good plays where we pressured and we forced the fumble, pressured at the end of the game, where we got the stop. We had a lot of run pressures to stop the run game early. I mean, we held, Gordon, those guys in check. Their answer, they had really two things. Their answer was to screen us, which, we have someone on the screen. We didn't play the screens well enough. We had the long explosive play. And, we came in the game saying we weren't going to play bump and run because a young quarterback, when he sees blitz, he's going to go to a quick throw, and we were going to play the fade, just take away the fade from him. So early on, Dante showed up, bailed out, almost picked the ball off. We had a good plan. On the one long touchdown, the corner stayed in bump as opposed to getting out of it. So, again, in a weird week where not everyone was in there the whole time, and you're sitting there saying, hey, we're going to go with the veteran guys. Our level of execution wasn't what it needed to be. So we shouldn't have given up. We haven't given up those big throws. So I think the pressure was good for us. The deep ball down the middle and the cover 3 at the end, that was a 4-man rush. So that's as detailed as I can be. I thought it was good for us overall, created a turnover, created some key stops, created some third down stops, got hurt on the screens and got hurt on one deep ball. And again, if we could just execute a little better in terms of coaches, making sure the players know exactly what to do, players, having the confidence to do it, I think we would have played even better.
Thank you.
Joe, you can ask your question, and then we'll go to David Newton.
Yeah, Matt, to play poorly in pretty much every phase coming off of a bye, would that kind of lead you to look back at kind of how you structured things, and understanding you had the COVID thing going on too, but just wondering your thoughts on the post-bye?
Like would I have gone into the building last week during the COVID thing, you're saying?
No. Just is there anything even during the bye week that you might have done differently, as self-scouting or whatever, just coming off the bye a bit flat as you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think I do a really good job of going back after every game and evaluate what we did right, what we did wrong. I think I wouldn't say we played flat on defense. I thought they came out and they played really well early. We stopped them on third down twice on the first drive. So one thing I said to the defense, because the offense gave up, the special teams gave up the punt return. The offense wasn't doing real bad. The defense was kind of milling around. I said, don't ever take their failure for the way you're playing. You guys are playing really well. I mean, they held them to 7 points in the first half, and that was on a drive that we thought we had to stop, and we got the roughing the passer call. So I thought we played pretty well on defense the first half. So I wouldn't say that was flat. The execution in the second half, in terms of giving up a couple big deep balls, really bothers me. And I would probably attribute some of that to guys not really practicing during the week because of the COVID situation and other situations, and then probably playing them. So if I would have made a lot of key decisions last week in terms of, hey, this is what the schedule is going to be, and it didn't work out, then I'm really critical. Like, to give you an example, I was really critical of myself, the Atlanta Falcons Thursday night game. I didn't think I had the team ready to play. Short week. I thought I had a good plan. It wasn't good. I say, hey, this wasn't good. I would never have scheduled it to have, play on the Vikings on a Sunday and have the players not come in the building until the following Wednesday. But that's the hand that I was dealt. And one thing I don't do is I try not to make excuses, right? Even kind of the way you asked this question, like I'm trying to process as I get it. So I think the biggest mistake I probably made, if you want me to self-reflect, is just the concept this week of practicing different guys, and then you get Curtis back Friday, and you're moving receivers back around to get the ball to Curtis more. Curtis played really well, but was the execution there with the other guys, at the level, where they were doing things that they knew that they had practiced, or, Derek, Shaq, Rhule, they don't show up till Friday, and they practice one day and they go play in a National Football League game after a 12-day respite. That I have to look at moving forward. I think it may be different for each guy. I think Shaq played pretty well. Some other guys, did they get the reps? Again, I'm trying not to use name. I don't want to pin on anybody, but are we giving them enough reps? So the Thursday one for Atlanta, to give you perspective, from my perspective at least, the Thursday one versus Atlanta is important because we'll probably have a Thursday night game. I don't know if we'll ever have a layoff till the next Wednesday. Like I think if we would have come out on Monday like we had intentioned and practiced on Monday and got some of the cobwebs out, and if everyone would have been here all week, I think we would have probably played pretty well. I think so, but I don't know, So I think just, hey, my takeaway was just trust the guys who practiced a little bit more and don't, even though the other guys have a ton of reps for you and they played really well, maybe don't go back to them quite as fast.
Hey, man, I wanted to ask you, a lot of times coaches send plays into the league for a second opinion after the fact. I'm wondering if you sent the Brian Burns call in and if you got any response that you could share with us.
I have not sent any plays in. I usually go through today. I very rarely send plays in. I really only send a play in if I have a question about, why, like a technical question. And those are judgment calls. If they rule that he pulled them up and landed directly on him, they rule it. If they say, if I think he was off to the side, then, that doesn't really give me anything. You know what I'm saying? So I understand how hard of a job that is to do, officiate games. There's been like any coach, there's lots of plays I'm upset about after a game. I usually wait till the next day. And if there's a player that I need clarity on, one thing I'll say about the league is I think Perry Fuel and Walt Anderson are transparent and they do a good job communicating. So, but they usually takes me till the end of today. I spent the last 3 hours with the offense watching the film. I have to go down with the defense and then kind of get ahead on Green Bay. But I usually do that at the end of the day where I send some plays in. And usually there's a couple things I have questions on, like why did this happen, to move forward.
Also, I was curious, a lot of times you'll see coaches put in players that they want to get a look at over the last 3 or 4 games when the playoff situation is not there. And we haven't seen Will Grier in a game this year. Is there a point where you want to see him in a game this year and see? I know you keep saying we know what we've got in him, but there's a point you want to put him out there since he had no preseason.
I'm going to go try to win the last 3 games, and so I'm going to put the guys that I feel like have earned the right to start or play. If a guy's banged up, I'll sit them for that. I won't be silly with that. I think we can win with Will Grier, and I'd love to see him play. PJ Walker's 1-0 as a starting quarterback in the NFL when he didn't even get the starters reps really all that week, so I feel confident in him. I just don't think it's a great message to send to the team though to start, making a tryout. Like the question earlier was, how do you keep the veterans and those guys' eyes from glossing over? If we learn one thing this year with a young team, if we learn how to finish the season, with 28 days of, 4 weeks of focus in December, if we have a chance to be a playoff team next year, our ability to focus around Christmas, to focus around Thanksgiving, to go win games at the end of the year when you're beat up, when practices are shorter. That's a skill. Like people don't always think that that's a skill. I think that's a skill, right? Who can be great at the end of the season when you're dealing with all these things? How do you handle making sure you have a Christmas present for your wife and also make sure the third down game plan? I'm dead serious. It's the ability to eliminate distractions and stay focused. So instead of trying guys out, I'd rather try to get the whole organization to understand how important December is and try to win games in December. And if we're not good enough to win it, if we, at least give an honest fight, we didn't play great yesterday and we still had a chance to go win a game, So I would like to just try to do those things as opposed. And if Will gets a chance to go win a game for whatever reason, I expect Will to play really well. The truth about quarterbacks is you don't really know till you put them in there. Right. And I didn't get a preseason. I didn't even get off season. So I don't know much about Will in terms of, what he'll be like when he's out there. What I do love is he was out there yesterday with a clipboard and a pen and he was trying to take notes. He was trying to give perspective and, he was trying to be a heck of a teammate. So I'd love to give him a shot at some point. Might be next year preseason. It might be next week. Who knows?
Looks like we have 2 more questions. Let's go to Brett Jensen and then Jonathan Alexander.
Matt, I wanted to ask you a football philosophy question because I know you generally excel in answering these. In terms of you personally, when you were, from Temple, your first time at Temple to now your first time in the NFL, are there similarities, differences? Do you find that there is a learning curve for you? I mean, I know you still got 3 more games to go or so, and then you'll look back and, maybe you can't see it because you're still in the moment. But is there a big difference? 10 years ago, there was a big difference between college and the NFL. Not so much anymore with RPOs and everything else, spread offenses. Are you finding yourself still learning as you go along in the process?
Well, I think I learn, every day. Like, I think me not taking a timeout when the play clock was running down on 3rd down was a direct reflection of me coming out of the Vikings game saying, you know what, I'm saving my timeouts in the second half for 2 minutes. So I think those things are things that I've learned. In terms of the X's and O's and all that stuff, I mean, I think that there's lots of things that are very similar in college football. There's also lots of things that are very, very, very different. I was blessed that when I was in the NFL, as an O-line person, as an assistant O-line coach, because that's probably where the biggest difference is. It's in the run schemes and it's in the protection schemes. So I was very blessed to learn the protection schemes from some great coaches at the Giants, Super Bowl coaches. So a lot of college coaches come in, they have like one protection, right? Now we have Pat Meyer here as our O-line coach. I think he's done a fantastic job all year, and he's been in the NFL for a long time, so he does that. But in terms of attacking protections, I think I've had a good background in that. So I think I'm a very different coach than I was my first year at Temple, a very different coach than my first year at Baylor. I've always just tried to figure out what it takes to win at that place, right? Like, for instance, I was a power I football team at Temple. I was a spread football team at Baylor, RPO team, and we came here and we're more of huddle, shift trade motion, New Orleans Saints type team. So I've always tried to figure out, hey, what do I think will work at this place? And so I think I learn on the run. I think our staff learns on the run. If you look at our defense, I mean, I think they've adjusted quite a bit this year based upon who we have. Losing KK, no one really talks about that. That was quite a deal for us, right? And then so we had to adjust, and so I think we'll get through this year and have a chance, like you said, to go back and look at all the different things and put them into perspective for the following year. But I think the staff has done a good job as the year's gone on of adjusting to who we have in a year, especially with COVID, where you can lose anybody at any moment. I think they've done a good job at that, and hopefully I have too.
Hey Matt. So I've been having internet issues, so I'm sorry you've been asked this question. But I know you had mentioned earlier that Teddy didn't follow the chain of command on that last 2 minute. What did he say about why he didn't? And then
I want to be clear. I did not say he did not follow the chain of command. That's not what I said. I have to get the chain of command. If I said it like that, I don't mean it like that. I have to get the chain of command better. That when I say to Joe, let it go to the 2 minute, that happens, right? So I look at everything in my life as like, hey, it's a failure by me. I don't in any way think that Teddy Bridgewater went out there and said, I'm not listening to Rhule. I'm running this play right now. I think he thought of it as he had the freedom to do that. And it's the first time we've encountered that situation. So I have to improve that organizationally. I think these guys, we said it earlier, I think he thought he saw them standing around. He saw the corner off, thought he was going to throw the out and steal 6 yards. Robbie's wide open. On the other side, the receiver kind of didn't go full speed. I don't know if he knew we were really running that play necessarily. And he ended up taking, linebacker blitz. We didn't block him. He ended up throwing the ball away. So I think he thought I'm going to steal 6 or 7 yards. And, maybe we've left it a little too gray. And so we'll correct that as we move forward.